15 love.
Todd, when you were a kid, did you have a jack in the box? You know what that is?
Yeah.
You know, a little box, and you had the little winder, and then that little creature would, like, little clown would pop up. It's kind of what Casper Ruud's serve is like. He takes that ball toss on the rise, and he just pops straight up and gets good pop on the serve as well, but it makes it difficult to anticipate as a returner where it's going. You don't really get a chance to see the ball toss and get any view or any tells on where he might be going. It's part of his secret sauce on his serve.
And 14 up.
That's an easy opening hole to serve for Casper Ruud, and joining us courtside for commentary today, it's a warm welcome to Mark Pecci. And Pecci, you've been running from the studio to the court. Hope you're not out of breath.
Todd, actually, well, firstly, confession, I lost my way. I've forgotten how to get here. So that was number one, and having marginal regrets about the colour of the shirt with the heat down here as well. So, yeah, I've got a few concerns.
All right. Well, why don't you give us a court report and conditions? 29 degrees, but what is it like down there?
It's humid down here at the moment. It's a lot more humid than yesterday, no question about that. So that's one part of it. The other part's going to be interesting. Machac is a guy that likes to serve on the juice side out wide, which is obviously into Casper's forehand, which he tends to block back. So I'm going to be interested to see whether that trend continues today or he tries to mix things up.
Well, first look now at the service motion of Machac.
Tomas Machac to serve, 14, check. Love 15.
Little nervy start from the Czech.
Love 30.
Not a difficult shot, really, that bounce match there. Well, we've mentioned the season that he's had, currently ranked 25 in the world. Jim said that he'd come from in the 70s to 25, but he also had a wonderful moment in Paris at the Olympics as a gold medalist in the mixed doubles alongside Sinikova. Some wonderful pictures there of going back home, showing off the medal. And a couple of points to try to settle.
Petch, there's that wide serve, and it elicits that block chip return from Casper.
Yeah, it's been kind of a feature of the way that he plays. It's not a quick serve, Jim, as you know. I mean, he probably sits around that kind of number that we've just seen coming in there. He's not somebody who's looking for a lot of free points. It's very much a set-up play.
So from like 30 levels at 1-all.
1 game.
Casper really has shone. He was the first Norwegian to win an ATP Tour title. His dad, Christian, of course, that we just spoke to, very, very good player himself, well entrenched in the top 100 in his own playing career. But 12 titles to his name, and of course he's reached a Grand Slam final at Roland Garros and the US Open. Master Series finals in Miami and Monte Carlo. He's built quite the resume.
Really nice hitting off of both wings from Casper Ruud there. This is a man who hits as much topspin on the forehand and backhand wings as anyone in men's tennis these days. But flattening out on some of those backhands and doing some damage. Good high quality rally, 18 shots.
Another love service game. So Norway ahead 2-1 in this opening set.
Team Norway is 2 games to 1.
Yeah, fascinating that he has so much spin because he uses a frame that traditionally, a Yonex frame, is a flatter ball strike, and the majority of players that have used that type of frame over the years have tended to hit flatter and take the ball on a little bit differently to what Casper does. And imagine what he would do if he put a bevel at his hand.
Just a little wider string pattern. There's Casper's fiancée, his longtime girlfriend Maria. They got engaged very recently. Nice little ring on her finger. She's cool, just like her soon-to-be husband.
United Cup Sydney, and this is a first match for either team of Czechia and Norway. It is Group B. The third team in this group is Poland, one of the heavy favourites. Of course, the favourite United States, with the 2 top 10 players, Taylor Fritz and Coco Gauff. They're currently over in Perth. They're in Group A, in a group with Canada and Croatia. The other groups in Perth, Greece, Kazakhstan, Spain in Group C, and Group E has China, Germany and Brazil. Here in Sydney, Group D consists of Italy, France and Switzerland, and Group F, Great Britain, Australia and Argentina. Argentina getting a big win yesterday in the evening over Australia 2-1, winning the mix to seal the deal for them.
Love 15.
Jim, Casper is very sound on hardcourt. Obviously reached the US Open final, but of his 12 titles, 11 have come on clay. So predominantly you would call him a very, very good clay courter. What does he need to do to be able to start winning more titles on the hard?
One of the challenges for him on this surface compared to clay or even a slower hard court like the players will enjoy in Indian Wells and Miami in March, it's harder for him to do that, to get as many forehands as he wants. The quicker court makes it more difficult to run around his backhand and pummel forehands, which on clay he has plenty of time to do. And also on clay, it's harder to defend against his forehand because you're slipping and sliding, and it's more difficult to change directions on defense. So the quicker courts nullify some of his strengths. Oh, that's so good. Oh, what a point. That is outrageous. Some blasting forehands from Machac. Awesome retrieving from Casper Ruud. And Petch, I wasn't sure Machac had soft hands like that. I know he's a mixed doubles gold medalist, but that was sweet.
Yeah, and it actually was very unexpected. It was dipping hard. You could see Casper was coming, so it had to be as good as it was. He doesn't look that comfortable looking up at all the kind of stanchions and speakers. When he let the first smash bounce, suggested that he doesn't like to look up, and he's struggling to find the ball up there.
Yeah, the overhead was mishit when he took that previous point pitch as well.
It's like looking up into a spider's web up there. There's a lot of metal.
Another pressure point where Machac has gone out to that Ruud forehand on the deuce side. I wonder if Casper will sense that.
Wild miss on the double there. Todd, just circling back to your question about what could Casper improve to improve his results on quicker surfaces. I think the backhand, the amount of topspin on there is actually a negative for him. I think he could flatten his backhand out and do a little more damage with it because it doesn't have the same type of speed that his forehand does. So when you have a lot of topspin on a shot with not a lot of speed, that's the one that can really hurt you, right? That gives your opponent time on the ball. I'd like to see him get a little more drive on his backhand on the quicker courts.
Machac rather. Consecutive double faults brings up a first break point of the match for Casper Ruud.
Second service.
Won't be happy with that miss.
Nope, overcooks that one. Here comes another chance for Team Norway.
Advantage, Team Norway.
It's the threat of Casper Ruud's defensive capabilities that forced that error. Machac just trying to do too much with it because he knew if he didn't, he was going to get beaten by the pass anyway.
So a couple of break points saved by Machac.
The pitch that time, Casper tried to come over the forehand return in the deuce court. He was looking for it.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys think, and as we go through the match, you can kind of have a look. But I mean, Casper, when he returns, he's got a very interesting sort of kind of style. At times, he starts with two hands on the grip, and then slides the left hand up the grip, and he's got a very neutral grip for return. Very sweet. And then other times, he'll actually start with kind of both hands and keep the left hand on the grip. So he's constantly, Jim and Todd, toggling his kind of return grip. So, and then you'll suddenly see him occasionally, Casper this is, actually go straight into a forehand grip return from the neutral and kind of predict which way this is going to go. So I just feel at times that he doesn't get as clean a strike on the return because he's kind of figuring out which grip he wants to do or where his hands should be. I know there's not one way to play this game, guys, but again, because Machac, when you watch him as well, he'll start with his left hand up the throat and then try and slide his left hand down quickly when it's coming to his backhand side. So he's pretty much... Which way did you, Jim, were you both hands?
Both of those are unusual styles. I think most players with two-handed backhands have if they're a right-handed player, your right hand is holding the forehand grip, the left hand is the backhand grip. So you just have to adjust the right hand if the ball comes to your backhand, and otherwise you just release the left hand and turn and hit a forehand. Now I'll grant you that the game is hyper quick these days. As that one misses wide, and you can see players with extreme grips sometimes have to use a chip grip. And I think the best practitioner of it really in the past 15 years, someone we enjoyed watching 3 majors, Stan Wawrinka, as he adapted his game kind of mid-career, learned how to block first serve returns on the forehand, standing in close, and then stand very deep for second serve returns and just unload on them. I think Casper Ruud's really cut out of that cloth. But I think it's unusual, Petch, to see someone do what both Casper is doing by having different types of grip starting positions.
Yep.
And then Machac with the two-handed backhand, not starting with the second hand on the grip, but actually on the throat of the racket. You're just wasting milliseconds.
Well, he can focus on it quickly again because he holds to love, and we're on serve 3-2 in this opening set between Team Czechia and Team Norway.
We've been talking an awful lot about the forehand of Casper Ruud, and once you're in rally with him, you better be ready to deal with a ball that is jumping out of the building, because nearly every single forehand he hits is over 3,000 RPMs, which is massive. Only one so far today has been underneath that rate. So the ball really dives down, Todd, as we know, and then it bounces up. So it really forces you to be more physical with your movement to combat it.
Yeah, so the viewer at home that may not understand what it's like to have that ball coming at you, it's not just bouncing towards you where you can time it right, it's fizzing, and it's fizzing upwards, so then your strike has to be more perfect to be able to get the ball in the center of your own racket.
And you have to work quicker with your feet to attack the bounce, because otherwise it gets up and out of your strike zone and it's harder to do damage on it.
It's been a very solid start to this men's singles between Team Norway and Team Czechia. Casper Ruud, on paper at least, the favourite, but you cannot discount his opponent here today, who's coming off his best year ever. Only 1 year separating them in terms of age, but a lot more experience for Casper Ruud in terms of big matches on big courts. He's had more chances so far, love 30 in the second game and a couple of break points from begging in that fourth game. Machac to serve at 2-3.
Casper Ruud has played awfully well at Roland Garros, as you've underlined, Todd, and he's played well at the U.S. Open, making the finals there a couple of years back, but he's never had a run at the Australian Open, the fourth round, the only time he's made it to week 2. It was back in the COVID year 2021 where Rublev beat him in the fourth round.
Well, I always have felt he looks a little fresher this season. When he's come down to Australia, I don't think he's often recovered from the season that he's just played. And I feel like this year he's looking a lot fresher. And you mentioned that a couple of times coming here, he looked spent and he hadn't had enough time to really refresh. Oh, that's big. Climbs all over that forehand.
Looked like he was climbing a ladder to get up in the air and get a good angle to lay waste to this one. That's big speed. 168. Petch, do you have any theories on why Casper hasn't been able to replicate the U.S. Open success in Australia?
Not any great ones, Jim. I could bluff and tell you that I've got some ideas. I'm just sitting here. I wonder whether the conditions here at times haven't allowed his forehand to pop off the court. Here in Sydney, maybe. Well, I know he had a good run here at the United Cup last year, but just watching the ball off the court, it doesn't seem to be bothering Machac that much, and I just wonder whether that's the reason why that he hasn't been able to put a better run together. I agree with what you both said, actually, to be honest, that he's at times, of course, he had the South American exhibition swing with Rafa a few years ago, which seemed to left him spent when he came down here. But I just wonder whether the forehand's as effective in these conditions as it can be in New York.
Thing we do know, and talking to Casper about his off season, is it was pretty short. He and his fiance went on vacation. That's where they got engaged, in fact, and then he came back and did a mini training block in Norway and then was off to play exhibitions. And he's actually already had a bunch of matches in his body prior to starting here at the United Cup. There's Maria. They're going to take next week, or not next week, but after the United Cup, they're going to take that week off when a lot of players will be in Adelaide getting ready, and some will be in Melbourne playing some exhibitions on Rod Laver Arena. That'll be exciting. And the build up to the AO. And he's going to use that as a big training block. Probably do a lot of physical work that week as well as tennis work. That's not normal for players to use the week prior to a major to actually build up their endurance and their strength, but that is what happens when the season starts in December.
Yeah, would he do that before Roland Garros? Probably not, right?
Wouldn't need to.
He'd be tapering.
Well, he actually plays Lyon or Geneva. In fact, these guys played in the finals of Geneva last year, and it was Ruud who won that title in straight sets on the eve of Roland Garros.
15.
But almost all the players, you're ready the week before, and you're cool. You're tuning your game up, but you're letting your body gain some energy as well for what's to come. The players in contention, anyway. And no one's going to comment on the hot doggery there? 14, did you guys not see 15. That front-facing tweener? Did you miss it, Petch? Were you blocked by the chair umpire?
Jimmy lost the point.
It doesn't matter. He won the highlight. That was awesome.
I'm just about winning, Jim.
Me
no
too.
show
I'm with you, Petch. And an ace to close out the game for Casper Ruud and Team Norway. Are on serve 4-3, first set.
Games to break.
From both. That one is pretty bad. Only 90% versus.
Time for a Ruud awakening. Well, he's had some good results. I don't know where else that could go, but right now he's got 4-3 in this opening set, Casper Ruud. Played some very solid tennis for his opening match of the season. It is Group B, and it is Czechia that have a 1-love lead, courtesy of the women's singles in the opening rubber here today.
Love 15.
Not a great miss.
Love 30.
Trouble controlling the new balls, it appears.
A few doubles sneaking in at inappropriate times also.
Casper Ruud pretty deep to return this first serve. And he gets a shank winner to set up triple break points.
Well, as a shank, it was great anticipation from Ruud to be able to get racket on ball here.
40.
Just blocks that return back. And we don't see him quite in picture. He had enough of the frame to drop it in, so more opportunities. Dodgy on the overhead once again, and there's the break.
And if you're just unsure with the visuals, which it's easy to be in Ken Rosewall Arena with the canopied roof, let it bounce. And he had ample opportunity to do that.
Well,
pays a big price.
There's a bit of technique in that. There's the visuals that you're talking about, Jim, looking up and into all of that lattice work of the frame that holds the tarp together here on Ken Rosewall Arena. So Casper Ruud, 5-3, serving for the opening set. But I think we can blame that, but you can also take a look at the technique of it as well. And when he's getting back for the ball, he gets right underneath it. He doesn't push far enough back to be able to step in and smash correctly. The racket's hanging over to the right-hand side. It's not back over his shoulder where it should be. There's a few things that he could work on there. Interesting too, because his coach and captain Daniel Varcek had quite a good serve and overhead. There he is right there.
Oh, lefty forehand. And he wins the point. That was amazing.
Unreal.
Guy's losing the set, but he's winning the highlight show.
I mean, how natural did that look?
Unbelievable. That was like Sharapova-esque. Look at this, just a lefty forehand half volley, no problem. Incredible.
Too good. Well, great play from both. It was a good serve. The return was stunning. It got the short reply. There was nothing wrong with the approach shot. There's the open stance on the backhand, and look at the strength as he gets the racket around the outside of the ball, and the accuracy on the pass, perfect. Gone up a notch. Wonderful point again from Machac. And there you can see that clay court prowess of Casper Ruud with the defense there. Open stance, sliding, keeping the ball in play as many times as possible. Eventually the winner comes from the Czech.
Got to be protecting the wide sliding serve here as Casper takes a time violation here for this big point. Just a warning, but that's his favorite serve in these moments is wide. Let's see if he uses it. Got to look for that. He goes against the grain, and did he break a string?
He did.
It's all happening.
So in this situation, he will only get a second serve if it was Machac that had broken a string on a return that perhaps had been a fault, then the server would get a first serve once again. And the double comes with it.
30-40.
That seemed a surprisingly quick second serve given what had just happened.
Yeah, rattled pitch. So break back point.
dad and captain onto the court to have a little chat to calm son down here in this tense moment. It's not often that these players break strings. They change them with the ball changes frequently. It's very unusual. I can't remember the last time I've seen Casper actually break a string in a match.
Advantage.
Certainly adds some stress to an already stressful situation.
Use. Way to get out of it, though. Second break point saved.
Advantage Team Czechia.
Third opportunity for Machac.
Just looks as though Machac has dropped a little deeper at times on these first serve returns, trying to make a few more.
Cooks another forehand, looks at his strings as if they're not suiting him at the moment. A couple of big forehands have gone awry. One thing that hasn't gone awry is his first serve percentage, though. Over 80% first serves in play for Casper, so not surprising, Petch, that Machac would try something different to maybe see if he can just rattle the rhythm. Hasn't worked yet. Just another one. What a gift.
Four unforced errors off that forehand, and Machac has got the break back and we're on serve. 5-4.
Team Norway is 5 games to 4.
Well, I've got to say that was unexpected. It had been very tidy from Casper Ruud until the string break, basically. And then he felt the need to go big on the forehand, which he doesn't always do.
Now, how about the left-handed forehand half volley that kept him in the game for Machac? That shot was, in hindsight, pretty vital. Hung around after that.
You're watching the United Cup from Sydney. It's an opening match in this group. It is Group B.
At time.
Third member of this group is Team Poland, of course, led by Igor Świątek.
Hologic, not too bad either. Yeah. A strong team, one of the favorites. Hologic with a new coaching setup this year, including Yvonne Lendl.
Tomas Machac serving to stay in the set, 4-5.
15 love.
Been struggling, isn't he, on second serve points one. He's just won a couple there up until that particular stage, but a couple of big numbers just posted. 202 previous serve, that one at 169. He's clearly recognizing the fact that he wasn't making many returns drop back, but also just changing up his second serve profile.
Back at 5-all and a real momentum swing.
5 games all
in favour of Team Czechia. And you get the feeling with Machac that he's that sort of player that if he can get a bit of momentum on his side, he's not scared of running with it. He doesn't back off, and given that Ruud's serve for this first set, he probably feels lucky to be in this, and this is a danger period for Team Norway. He has really gone off on all aspects of his game here.
Honestly, like at this stage, he probably should put that racket away and get another one.
That's what you see Machac do, I feel, under these sort of circumstances. He starts to swing quite freely and openly puts pressure on his opponent by doing so.
Flirtatious with that forehand. It catches the line, but that's a little off target for Casper. Certainly wouldn't have been aiming for the line there, but gets away with it. This feels like, to me, just watching it, that his strings are looser than they should be. The ball's flying on him, and he's missing his target longer than he's aiming for. Misses that one badly.
14-15.
Strikes me as a guy, though, Casper Ruud, that's more about the archer than he is about the arrows, taking responsibility for it. But I agree with you, it does seem as though there's a little trepidation about that particular racket.
That's better though, and a nice recovery to help settle and get it back on 6-5. Team Norway in the opening set.
Team Norway is 6-5.
That's good.
We were talking a little about hardcore clay court with Casper Ruud, and one of the things that really stands out when I call a lot of his matches, which I've done at Grand Slam level, is he doesn't win easily. He's the type of player that wears his opponent down. He's happy to do that. And whereas last night we watched Alex de Minaur come out and be firmly aggressive, flatten balls out, sneak forward, try to shorten points where possible, and keep that momentum running. He often has to work hard and get through matches. And I think that's something that he can work on, and we've just seen the perfect opportunity at 5-3 where he didn't play that game to keep that momentum running. And as good as he has been, it's still something that he can add to the repertoire or find ways to work on. Well, Casper Ruud has served for the opening set. It's back on serve, and let's take a look at the win predictor. Jim?
Yeah, the win predictor pre-match had Machac as the favorite, which will raise a couple eyebrows, but Casper Ruud at 52%.
What? How can he be favorite?
Hey, time.
I don't make the win predictor. I'm just reporting it, Todd.
What?
Why are you angry?
Petch, come on, Petch. Have a look
Why
at
are
that.
you so mad, Todd?
I'm not mad, but how
Settle
can he
down.
be the favorite? Goodness me.
He's not at the moment. It's Casper Ruud at 52%. You agree with that?
I'm just shaking my head. Let me just check the rankings and...
We've just about hit Todd's tipping point, Petch.
Goodness me. What a load
Just
of
about
rubbish.
hit it.
Still a long runway into the end of this opening set for Todd.
And the summer of tennis. I'd like to see this play a little bit more from Casper Ruud. In fact, this forehand that Machac has played, where he's gone down the line and come forward, really good play. Casper's favourite is to try to pull it back cross court. And that's a percentage play, isn't it? So he's a percentage player.
Tell you what, that is a sweet little shot. You don't get any sense that it is suddenly going to accelerate off the strings as quickly as it does at times. It's as destructive as it is deceptive.
I'm fascinated actually by Mahac's forehand because he has an extreme western grip, much like Casper Ruud's, and yet he hits it pretty flat.
Yep.
He really drives through the ball in spite of his grip. Most players, they like that western grip so they don't have to work as hard to hit topspin. He actually has to work hard to flatten it out. Kind of counterintuitive, but when it works, it is brutal and effective. I think it is far more timing based and error prone than a lot of forehands on tour, however. I think there's a lot more variability there. I love his backhand. Let's put it that way.
8 levels there. 6 games all, so it will be a tie break.
6 games all, first set, tie break.
They played 2 tie breaks in their head-to-head, and they were both at the Australian Open in 2023 in the opening round. Casper Ruud won that encounter, but they split the tie breaks. And they're head-to-head 2-0 in favour of Casper Ruud as well. Might not have been punched into the win predictor.
Gotta let it go, Todd. Gotta let it go, man.
1-0 Team Czechia.
So first mini break goes the way of Machac.
He just took that one too early. Taking it down the line, you need to wait for that ball to come back into your strike zone a little bit more. That was a cross-court contact, trying to go line.
One of the key things for Casper Ruud, he is a creature of habit, and his patterns of play are fairly set in stone. And what's been interesting viewing here in the last 20 minutes or so since he served for that opening set is that he's gone away from some of those patterns of play. And that's by virtue of the pressure that Machac has put on him.
It's fascinating when I watch Casper play. I mean, obviously he's a top tenor in terms of return games won on clay. He sits just inside the world's top 40 in return games won on a hard court. But again, you look at a situation like that where you feel as though the pressure's pretty high, you want to make your opponent play, and that's the time he elects to try and drive the forehand return.
I feel like both of you guys need a hug right now. You're both angsty.
I know.
I'm sending one out to you.
Come on.
I mean, look how good that was, huh? What a clean sweep of the forehand for Team Czechia.
Well, when you talk about returns, have a look at this one here, because
3-1 Team
body weight
Czechia.
forward, a shorter swing, good racket head speed through, uses some of the pace of the serve coming at him.
Team Czechia.
So the mini break still with Czechia. Oh, there's a gift. Completely missed by a mile, unforced error, and we change ends after the first 6 points. So a mixed bag.
Yeah.
This first 6 points of the tiebreak.
High variability from the forehand wing for Machac. A couple of beauties and then a couple of clunkers. And Casper Ruud will gladly accept that gift as they trade sides, tied at 3.
Is anyone else having a little difficulty getting around the change? I'm so used to being Czech Republic, sitting in here and having Czechia as the new name.
Yeah, I just called him Czechia, so yeah, I think I'm.
Yep.
And it's not Chechnya, so
yeah, no, it's
going to take me some time to catch up to it.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Yep.
Apologies. Inexcusable misses really on these forehands. Rally balls missing by a meter.
4-3 Team Czechia.
But it's tiebreak time and it's tense. Lots of pressure on and lots at stake for Team Norway. This is a must-have match. Cannot afford to lose it. The Czechs can. They can go to the mixed doubles. So there's a little extra weight on the man with the red shirt.
Well, superb movement from Machac. This was the first volley that he runs onto. And then that passing shot got the easy put away in the end. So once again, mini break, 5-3.
First service.
Did you guys notice that Machac did a near split on that forehand pass?
He's got some seriously strong legs.
I think I just pulled a muscle just watching that.
Referring to.
Maybe that's why the shorts are as high up as they are, to give him the ability to utilize that flexibility. That is bananas.
Spin his ears, there was massive deceleration into that second serve with the racket head.
Casper Ruud was back by the Sydney sign, just waiting for the serve to get down to him. It never found the box. Machac was just trying to steer it into the court and forgot to accelerate. I recommend that for Casper again. He's retreating deep here, going to try and get a forehand in play if he can. Machac needs to accelerate here. Didn't do it. But that looked like courtside pitch.
That looked like a man that didn't really know which second serve to hit, if I'm being honest. I mean, he's, as we said, he's been above 200. He got a little bit quicker at times to try and protect it back end, but as you both said, he was looking to steer it in the box, and that never works. You lose spin.
Point from Casper Ruud on set point.
We're seeing what the tension and playing for your country can bring to the court. 2 double faults in a row for Machac. Casper Ruud tries to play a moon ball off the backhand for the first time all day on his set point.
Not only that, I mean, the prior balls in that rally were just through the middle of the court. There was no intent to go after it.
He never got a front foot forehand, so he was really being dictated to by Machac, but this has been a topsy-turvy tiebreaker.
Okay.
So change of ends once again after 12 points. Clutch first serve takes a little bit of pace off it to get the angle required.
Norway.
A second set point for Norway. magnificent from both men. And Team Norway take the tiebreak.
7-6.
Wayward second serve, as you see Machac motioning to his captain and coach Daniel Vacek that he needs more acceleration, more spin on that second serve to bring it down into the court.
It's 6 doubles now. Tally getting costly for him.
It's something that a lot of club players misunderstand, is that the acceleration on a second serve, if you're a high-level player, it's the same as your first serve. You just hit less of the ball. You put more spin on the ball, but you're still ripping through the hitting space, and he is not doing that at all right now, and these knuckleballs are not diving down into the court. Servers, you'll use more legs on a second serve than a first serve if you're a top-level player like here, because you're driving more up into the ball to impart the top spin on it, as opposed to driving out for a flat first serve. So it's a slightly different motion, but the racket head speed remains constant if you're doing it correctly.
There's that forehand down the line from Ruud. I think that's a shot he's got to keep using a little more. That will be far more helpful to him.
I like that, Todd. I also like what we're seeing as far as backhand down the line from him today. I think on this surface, that's a shot that's certainly very valuable for all these players. Changing direction. Boy, Alex de Minaur did that well last night, didn't he?
Got away with that overhead. It's been a dodgy shot for him. What do you think on the serve pitch? You like looking at technique. What is the issue on the second serve? I mean, Jim's given his thoughts with legs.
I agree with him. I mean, it's just, I feel as though when you look at it, every single one he's missed has gone long. So it doesn't feel as though he's going kind of along the baseline with his swing path on the second serve, generating the spin that Jim's talking about. So everyone's kind of flat and long. So yeah, it just feels as though from that point of view, he just needs to kind of just throw his arm a little bit more along the baseline to get that spin as we get back to an opening set point that no one's going to forget in a hurry.
Now let's take another look at it here.
Just started off in a baseline exchange. Casper Ruud finally getting forehands that he wanted to be aggressive. And Machac is just hanging on for dear life at this point. And he dives into that one. And then he's back up, and this was an amazing pass to get it down. And that's the difficult volley that Petch was talking about. Again, using that speed and flexibility to extend the rally. And Ruud with the final exclamation point to a really interesting and long set.
15 love.
Nicely done there. Pitch, let's do a little dive into the backhands and kind of compare and contrast these two backhands here. Machac, we've talked about a little flatter ball striker, a little more traditional two-handed backhand from a spin profile. Casper Ruud, one of the spinniest backhands on tour. Sends this back to 30 all. Do you see much difference between the grips that they use for their backhands, Petch? Because I really haven't, which sort of surprised me when I took a little look at it. I would have thought Casper's left hand would be a little bit more under the racket, but they both seem to be very similar and on top of the racket in kind of a normal grip.
That's what I see. Oh my goodness.
Oh, missed, but my goodness, the defense is outstanding.
14-13. Some of it's Cirque du Soleil-esque, the way that he gets into position and then recovers. The gymnastic ability is phenomenal. Just gets a little cute there with the volley lob, though. Have a look at this.
Amazing. It's like he's breakdancing out there. Phenomenal.
Similar to the Aussie breakdancer that we saw in the Olympics.
Ray gun. Something like that. Saw lots of kids at Halloween dressed as Ray gun in Los Angeles, just so you know. Left a mark, 100%. Let's dig back into the tennis here. Let's take a comparison and contrast, if there is any, between the two backhands and the shot production. Casper on the left. Look at the grips and the take back. All of it very similar. The racket face very similar, and at contact, it all looks exactly the same. So how in the world do you get those numbers on the bottom right of your screen? That is an immense difference in the amount of topspin. Well, Casper has to really work hard to generate it by going low to high, and what that does is it makes overall his backhand much, much less effective. And it's amazing, Petch, because it's the exact opposite on their forehands. It's Machac working real hard to flatten out his forehand, where topspin actually can help you. And the reason is there's more speed on the forehands in average. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, it is. It's a big differential as well. It does feel, and we actually got a little glimpse, didn't we, from Machac in terms of how good he is with his left hand, with that little pickup that we saw in the opening set where he played just with the left hand. that he probably, Jim, extends a little bit more through that backhand because of how comfortable he is compared to Casper's, who at times can look as though he's a little jammed with that swing playing through the shot. As you say, just going up the back of the ball rather than right through it in the way that Machac can.
Machac does get a little bit more speed on average on his backhand, and by flattening it out, he also gets the ball through the court, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would definitely take Mahac's backhand.
Yeah, me too. I would take anybody's over mine, to be honest. Ooh, landed that overhead.
Yes, but the overhead is similar to the second serve in many ways for Machac, and that's been an Achilles heel. And when you look at his results throughout his career, perhaps that's the reason that he's taken a little longer to get to this point in terms of ranking. See, that ball's dropping. He only just catches that in the bottom of the frame again. But he manages to hang on to serve, and after dropping the first set, has 2-1 in the second.
The team Czech is 2-1.
Well, we are in Sydney for the United Cup, as well as Perth, two beautiful cities in Australia. And this is the Botanic Gardens in Sydney, the oldest gardens in Australia. It's free to enter, around 7,500 species of plants there. And of course, we are well known for our wildlife as well, and plenty of parrots, lorikeets, sulphur-crested cockatoos, all of those in and around that magnificent garden. It's just on the edge of the Opera House. Just some of the sights that you can see if you come into Sydney, right on the edge of the CBD. Beautiful city.
He's got a lot of fans in that team zone, doesn't he?
That's
low,
a dad joke.
That was low hanging.
That is a dad joke.
Long break. It's okay. Trying to put some wind in the sails.
Yeah, perhaps he's hanging in there nicely. I did mention. You look at his results over his career, Jim. Fascinating to look. As a challenger, won a lot of matches, 110 challenger matches to 54. And then today he's trying to win his 50th tour match at 25 years of age. So taking him a while to get to that number at this level. And you can see why he would win a lot of challenger matches. He's got a big game. And perhaps we've also seen with the serve here today why it's taken him a little longer to progress up the rankings. Last year, a big year for him, getting inside that top 50. Five top 10 wins to his credit. Actually, it's 4. This would be a 5th if he was able to get through this one today. He went 33 wins, 23 losses last year, so 23 tournaments is a lot. He made the final, as you mentioned earlier, in Geneva, where he lost to Casper.
13-15.
For Ruud to level at 2-all.
2 games all.
One of the things that Casper Ruud did a year ago leading into the 2024 season was drop weight. He dropped about 9 pounds to get a little bit lighter and to get a little bit quicker.
So how does an athlete like he lose that type of weight? What would he be doing?
I think diet primarily. And you might adjust your weight training a little bit as well. But given how quick you have to move in and out of the corners in tennis these days, you don't want to be any heavier than you have to be. And if you want to feel what it was like for Casper, he could literally put on a 9-pound vest and then go out and try and run into the corners and then take it off and feel the difference. That's the reality.
Yeah, well, you can see the physique of the players, big legs, quads. That's the engine for the players, and then quite light in the upper frame, isn't it? I've been working on the chest since finishing.
Have you?
Yeah.
How's that working out for you?
It's just got wider.
Have you asked for a refund?
Setting myself up for failure there, wasn't I?
You brought it up.
See, much better overhead there, where he was forced to move backwards and get in position, and he got the racket in a much better position. On the higher floater balls, he doesn't move as well for the overhead. Ironic when he has actually more time to do so.
14-15.
Serve, things on serve. It's been a tight one. Team Norway took the opening set 7 games to 6. Team Czechia leads 3-2.
3 games to 2.
So the trainer being called to the court here for Tomas Machac and getting some work done on the legs. Not surprised given some of the positioning that he's been in pitch with his movement here today.
Yeah, it's interesting. It actually looks like he's cramping, doesn't it? This looks like they're trying to kind of work on trying to keep the muscles loose to make sure that the cramps don't come. At the moment, it is extremely humid down here, and I think that that's probably just a little bit of a shock to the system at this stage of the season.
United Cup, Sydney, and this is the first time we've seen any of the teams from Group B. Czechia taking on Norway, a third member of this group, Team Poland. And in that change of ends there, the trainer out for Czechia, for Machac, getting some work done on the legs.
Casper Ruud, some of his team taking some of his rackets back to the stringer to get them refreshed. Lots happening. Change of ends here. No one's generated a break point yet in this set. Things have normalized a little bit in set 2.
There's a change up, a serve and volley.
If you don't keep improving, the game does move on without you. And for Casper Ruud, what are the areas that he has as strengths? We all know the serve is a nice setup for one of the best forehands in the game. He's a great mover, awesome competitor. Areas to improve, adding more backhands down the line. We've talked about that. I think the forehand drop shot is an absolute must, given how much damage he does with his forehand. That should be another weapon, a major one, because he forces people back off the baseline. If he can incorporate a forehand drop shot, he'll get a lot of easy point finishes that way. And I agree with your suggestion earlier that trying to get in behind some of his big shots and finish at the net too to shorten points up. That would be a good idea as well.
They're saying that Machac is falling off a cliff physically, but he's definitely kind of managing some discomfort in those quads at the moment. That was a kind of half effort from him to get over there.
A lot of work in doing those splits on defense. That takes a lot of energy to get in and out of those corners.
Very nice indeed.
Nice casual approach shot, and then cue the applause, hold the pose.
Consequently, we talk about a bit of fatigue in the legs, starting to come forward more often here. Machac to try and shorten the point, but he's efficient at net too. He covers it well. He's really struggling with the takeaway pitch. If you watch him on serve, his left hand, the ball, when he puts the ball toss off, gets way ahead of where the racket is, and so the racket's hanging down low, and the sequence starts to get out of sync, and that's when he took the first serve there, started to work on that again, and then it completely lost its rhythm on the second.
I haven't got the stats in front of me. Is that his 9th double?
It's getting up towards that.
It's interesting. He hasn't had...
Correct, 9th double.
Is it his 9th double? He hasn't had that many bad matches. His highest in the last 52 weeks was actually 7 doubles against Jack Draper at the US Open. So this has kind of come out of nowhere. Nice finish to the game.
Indeed, he gets the ace, but he's still worrying about it. But he's got 4-3 on serve, second set. Well, this is a replay of a point in that previous game where Machac did a lot of work to stay in it. Casper Ruud has an upper hand here with a forehand, but takes it back cross court instead of through the line when he had an opportunity and he was in the upper hand on the point. And Machac managed to find a way to get back into it. This one there could have gone down the line, so he takes it back through the centre, and that keeps Machac in the point, and then he comes forward with that lovely bit of touch on that drop volley. Stays down beautifully here. Look at that for footwork. So getting towards crunch time in this second set from both players, in particular for Machac. He's down a set. Casper Ruud trying to level for Team Norway. See if they can take it to a live mixed doubles. There's always the predictable scenario coming into this match. Team Norway. No player in the top 100 on the women's side.
Empty the clip on that one, Todd.
Well, that was me when I said the win predictor was going to go the opposite way.
That was you in your 20s. What are you talking about?
Casper Ruud serving 3-4 second set.
Jim, we've been talking a lot about the backhands and it's sort of like the difference. It doesn't look that different, but actually if you look at when Casper's rushed on that two-hander, you don't often see him with a kind of Murray or Djokovic kind of like late flick with the left hand cross court, do you? You see him kind of have to bunt it every time.
He seems less comfortable taking it later in the strike zone. He seems to take the ball more in front than a lot of two-handers, and perhaps that is part of the problem for him absorbing the pace the way you're describing it. We're splitting hairs. We're obviously trying to find things hopefully people at home are interested in looking at, thinking about. We spent so much time in the last 20 years oohing and eyeing at the amount of topspin that Rafa Nadal put on his forehand, but his backhand was a flat monster shot, and it was damaging in its own way. Casper Ruud has the same type of spin profile on his forehand as Rafa, but his backhand is far less effective because he has a very high spin profile there. That's kind of the point that we've been trying to make. The only backhands that you really want to have a lot of topspin on are the one-handers, right? They're a free-flowing shot. People like Gasquet or Wawrinka, Federer in his day, they can get the ball off the court sharply. Dimitrov. It's just a lot easier as a one-hander to create that free flow and speed and spin. Two-hander, you're a little more limited in that department.
a very easy hole to put the pressure back on Machac.
It's nice to get granular occasionally with this sport. Go back to that 2 points ago when we watched Casper's first backhand of the rally. You saw actually his left hand coming off the racket very quickly on that defensive shot off the return. And if you have got a great two-hander, you're more than likely going to want to keep your actual left hand on the racket longer than actually take it off, which again is another key indicator of just why his backhand isn't quite at the same level of some of the best. Songa was another one, obviously.
Who are the best backhands for you guys? Who are the best two-handed backhands in men's tennis? I'll start with Djokovic. I've never seen a better one.
Well, that's why you started.
Correct. I want to get one in.
Now where do we go?
I'm going to go with Alcaraz.
Todd?
Well, I would have said Novak. And then I will add Alcaraz as the current slice backhand to put towards that, because that's where he's tearing a lot of his opponents apart with that shot.
How about the world number one? Is his two-hander any good? Yannick Sinner, the defending Australian Open champion.
I do like his conserve return off that wing.
And the ability to slide and do damage is something that all three of those backhands we've just described are able to do on defense. They can turn it into offense, and Rafa could do it as well. A lot of good ones out there. You don't have to look too far down the rankings to find some great ones, that's for sure.
A 14-15.
Little inside baseball when we're commentating a match with no break points in the set. This is how we fill the time. Lists. Let's go for lists.
13.
Best one-handed backhand.
Well, I think that goes to Wawrinka. The ability to hit single-handed down the line is not an easy shot, and he could change direction better than anybody I've ever seen.
Net for service.
First serve okay though, and he's hanging in there is Machac, and it is 5-4. Second set. Norway having taken the first.
5 games to 4.
Well, a lot of the teams here in Sydney this week have been out and around the harbour and seen some of the magnificent sights, and what a harbour it is. Some 240 kilometres of shoreline around this harbour. And it's punctuated by some magnificent beaches, the gardens that we saw a little earlier. Home to the Opera House, the Harbour Bridge, the iconic Taronga Zoo, which looks back towards the CBD. And one of the highlights, and I did it recently, was actually taking the ferry around from point to point, and you get some of those magnificent views. Weekend, just a single $1 to ride the ferry from stop to stop in the public transport system here in Sydney. Well, Daniel Vacek, the captain of Team Czechia, he is on to the stats board. That is the same stats that we have access to now in our booth, and they've given those to the players here for the United Cup to be able to try to perhaps generate some extra goals. He looks like he can't find what he's looking for, though. Petch, can you help him?
Yeah, I don't know. My IT skills are about as good as Daniel's, clearly. He was in all sorts of trouble there. He was, I don't know what. Yeah, that's not what he was looking for. That's the lock screen, Daniel.
Casper Ruud serving to stay in this second set at 4-5.
Love 15.
There's that forehand of Casper Ruud, which he wins so many points there with the heaviness and speed. Sometimes he doesn't need to be as accurate as you might expect him to be.
Set it all up, and he couldn't stick the dismount. It was a wonderful performance within the point. Had it set up perfectly.
Well, isn't it interesting? Because he really had to hit that one off, and he doesn't necessarily like it when he doesn't have as much time. So he gets down quickly and smothers the ball. The swing was too big. That one he tends to like to pull back into the forehand side of Machac.
30.
So with the pressure of serving to stay in this set, on a pressure point, throws in the double fault, and all of a sudden it is a set point for Team Czechia.
Sweeps the line. Didn't get much of it, but just enough.
Much better in the overhead department, Casper Ruud there, but interesting once again with their forehand, not prepared to go anywhere near a line. Straight down the centre. Bit of an escape for Team Norway there. It was a very conservative approach. Machac had a good crack at the two-hander, just caught tape. Different starting position on the serve for Casper Ruud, almost in a doubles starting position. Way to the right on our screen now than usual. Don't really see him do that. That's a head scratcher. survives the set point and levels at 5-all. You've talked about the heaviness and how he wins matches with his forehand, Jim. I want to take a look at his direction of shot here today and the placement of the forehand. And one of the keys is have a look at how often he pulls it cross court. He's actually very predictable in where he keeps going to. And we've mentioned the forehand down the line. He doesn't hit that so well. That little stable of balls in that left-hand corner of your screen there, most of those are from off forehands when he goes over to his left and gives himself room to drive it into there. But one of the key shots for him to be better on hard court is to take the forehand up the line and get it closer to the line and better depth. A lot of the depth on his forehand is quite short because of the spin. And that for me today has been really interesting to watch because he's been so predictable at where he's going to take the forehand.
First service.
So there's almost an area of the court that you can give him and say, well, if you make it there too good, I'm going to lean towards the center and the right-hand side of the court if you're Machac.
It's something that a lot of players will do against the world number 2, Sasha Zverev, who likes to hit his forehand cross court as well. By the way, we didn't put him on the great two-handed backhands list. That's a mistake. His backhand's incredible.
Did he just send you a text or something?
No, did not. But and by the way, my number one-handed backhand, the Italian Musetti. Oh, that little half volley is almost as sweet as Musetti's sweeping one-hander. That was sumptuous from Casper, and he's knocking on the door, generating his first break points of this set.
Well done there.
That was a great combination. Casper was leaning for the tee serve, but it was so well placed and nicely paced at 192K. And there wasn't much he could put on the return, and there was plenty on this forehand.
Rips another winner, and Machac has a hold. Team Czechia 6-5, second set.
Team Czechia is 6-5.
The opening women's singles here. Today Mugura winning in straight sets quite comfortably. Against Malin Helgo. She always performs well down here in Australia. Some of her biggest victories in Melbourne at the Australian Open. So the first set was a tie-break won by Casper Ruud, and if he can hold serve here, set number 2 is heading in that same direction. Group B getting underway. Team Poland yet to make a start in this year's United Cup, of course, led by Jusjontek Machac. Some youngsters there. Australia last night, unfortunately, going down to Argentina in their opening match. They're going to have to pull something special out to be able to get through to the quarterfinals. But it's Casper Ruud now serving here at 5-6 to take it to a tiebreak. Good forehand there.
I actually like that profile for him on his approach shot forehand more often when it's actually low over the net. I think one of the problems for him, of course, as we've been saying, he's got such high spin rate that when he hits it low over the net, obviously it lands short. And you see a lot of the conservative forehand approach shots from Casper, because to get it deep, he's actually got to hit it that much higher over the net. I actually think he's better off just flattening it out to some degree lower over the net, and yes, it's going to bounce a bit shorter, but it's got a little more penetration through the court.
Yes and yes. Backhand down the line.
That was the
forehand drop shot. That was really tasty. Machac does well to extend the point, but doesn't even make a move for that drop shot. You have to respect it might be a huge forehand coming your way, and that's why that is so valuable to add to your arsenal.
Net for service.
Casper.
Foot speed, balance, and racket head control.
And 30-15.
Let's just take a look. It was a very good shot, that one there, but slides in so low, racket out in front, and soft hands on the racket grip to be able to create that feel. Superb.
A sidewinder. Tons of side spin on this drop volley, and this thing darts away from Machac. Check out this action. Target missed, price paid.
13.
This backhand is just central with nothing on it. And that forehand didn't have to go anywhere near a line to win the point.
What looked like a cruisy game to take to the tiebreak, all of a sudden has tightened up. Had to save a set point in the previous service game, Casper. As he did in that previous service game, he gave the set point with a double. Very low ball toss on that second serve. Short again and pays the price, and what a turnaround. Machac takes the second set for Team Czechia, 7 games to 5.
And 15 love.
Problem with that second serve also, the ball toss was in the wrong location. It was more of a first serve ball toss, which was over his right shoulder. You want to be over your left shoulder with your ball toss when you're trying to hit a safe second serve. You can create topspin on it by going straight up into it. That was more of a side spinning serve. Not surprised that it missed long. This one should be closer to the tee than over his head. That was better.
15-30.
Let's see if he can get a good ball toss here that drifts to our right as we're looking at him. Yeah, that was better as well.
Yeah, sometimes it's spectacular to see a player leap and strike the ball, but it was a little airy on that occasion, and at 15-40 comes at a price because he didn't get the accuracy, and Casper Ruud then gets a chance at the pass and now has 2 early break point opportunities. Gives it up with yet another double fault. So momentum gone for Machac in this opening game. Ruud with the break.
First game, final set.
That came out of nowhere. Casper Ruud hadn't had a break point since the opening set.
Well, it's interesting for when you look at ranking of certain players. It's not unusual for a player like Machac to have played really well at the end of that set, been on a high with the momentum, and then sit down and go, oh, well done, take a deep breath, and you sort of lose all of the feelings and the intensity and adrenaline that was in your body. You have to learn how to control that, and that was a case there of where a top 10 player like Ruud has a much better ability at sustaining what that level needs to be. A real drop of concentration and levels.
Love 15. Nej, det var bra gjort av han. Det är riktigt spilt. Okej, kom igen. Jag ser honom. Det går rätt nu. Love 30.
Looked like Casper thought that ball was going to miss and wasn't quite ready to activate the two-hander, because he was nowhere near a target. That was out in doubles.
Love 40.
This is a little worrying, I think, if you're Christian Ruud sitting there as captain and coach, and you get the break and then almost gifting it straight back.
What's worrying is the speed on serve from Casper Ruud has dipped dramatically here in his last couple first serves. I don't know if that's a choice pitch or if something else is going on. Maybe too soon to tell, but his last two first serves have been in the 170s range.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's just missed time. Jim, I think it was quite telling actually on the opening point. I think he was so disappointed with how little impact his first two forehands had in that particular rally, and then he missed the third one, and he kind of looked over at Christian and was like, "There's just I can't hurt the guy enough with what I thought were two decent shots."
Well, at least that serve was back to normal, so false alarm.
30-40. Okay.
I mean, he has a very quick action, doesn't he? You've talked about that, Jim, but there are times when the ball toss gets so low that I don't think he's got time to really load up. Well done by Tomas Machac. Great effort mentally. He could have easily gone away there.
Game over.
That's how you fill the space. Steps right into it. Beautiful two-hander, clean as you like. A bit of a messy start to the final set. A couple of loose service games. A change up first serve that worked. It was under 160K.
And 15-all.
2 hours and 13 minutes on the clock for your first official match of the season. That will get your attention early in the third set. This is going to be a physical test for these guys.
And 15-30. It's 30.
Another look here at that forehand return, and she talked about this, that block chip earlier, and that's very frustrating to miss a ball that was very makeable.
At 30-40.
Here's that serve. See the disconnection here. See the ball toss gone up and that racket is low for a long time. It's also out to the right a lot, Jim. See, and now it gets there, and as the ball's dropping, so the timing becomes very difficult. He's got a much higher ball toss than what Casper does, but he lets it drop. And so because of that, he's always hitting it in a different position, right? Another break, an odd start to this third set. 3 breaks of serve, and it is Team Norway 2-1 third set.
2 games to 1.
Left one, it's a little bit cramped when I'm on the show. But if we can start, I can just like say the same color, right? Just the left one.
So he talks about the physicality, and the trainer out now for Casper Ruud, as it was earlier for Tomas Machac. At this point, that's just got to be for recovery. Patch, you think, this here?
I think it's preventative, to be honest.
The trainer doing his thing in terms of trying to keep Casper Ruud relaxed, maybe. Preventative pitch is a word that you've used for something like this. Can you get the trainer for prevention?
Yeah, he can, as long as he's up and ready to go. I mean, this is not an injury timeout. This is just taking care of what he can within the changeover time here. Just watching Mohamed Lani look down at the at what's going on with Casper at the moment.
You can get that twice on change of ends, but you cannot take a medical timeout unless you have an injury. So if it's a loss of conditioning, if you're feeling a little tight or fatigued, you cannot take that 3-minute timeout. Players are allowed if they do have an injury. So both players have received a little bit of massage on their quads. Both of them have been jolted with their serves in this set. No one's held yet. 3 breaks. Highly unusual.
15 love. Let first service.
That was an odd second serve delivery. I don't even know if Casper realized that that was a second serve. I mean, that was a first serve speed for sure. He's not fighting it, but that was awfully odd to see a 186 km/h second serve out of the Norwegian. Unless he's feeling like he needs free points because his leg's given a little bit.
And 13-15.
I was just looking back through notes and felt like he had to double check, which I've just done. He's a confidence player. It's been quite interesting here. He's had chances to really finish this match off and hasn't been able to do so. And when you look at the end of the year since the US Open, you start to understand why. Four wins to 11 losses since the Open.
Yeah, he caught the flu just prior to the US Open. That really sent him reeling. Had some trouble at the French Open as well physically. Did Casper. Got a stomach parasite at Roland Garros. So he had the second half of the year, his body was not working with him. It was working against him. Add that on to some surfaces that are not especially kind for him, a little quicker the indoor season.
40-30.
Because he was awfully good on the hard courts early in the year. And they're played outside in the United States, a little slower conditions. Of course, down here, United Cup.
A few first rounds, lost his first round of Metz to Bonzi, first round of Paris to Jordan Thompson. First round of Basel to Batista Good. Won a round in Stockholm before losing to Grigsby. Another first round in Shanghai, another first round in Tokyo, and a loss at the Laver Cup. So therein lies a little bit of the issue of trying to finish this match off here today.
Advantage, Team Norway.
Change on, looked like he was going for the kick serve, pulls it down the centre and gets the ace and manages now to consolidate that break. That was important.
Team Norway is 3 games to 1.
Casper Ruud looks like he wants to change rackets. He's going to wander over to see his dad, team captain, Christian Ruud. Swap bats and get ready to go here. Petch, how much you think he'll invest in this return game? You think he's fatiguing? What are we looking at here?
I think he's going to invest a lot in this game, to be honest. I think he's got the wind in his sails finally. After 4 games of this final set, I would be very surprised if this one goes quickly unless Machac can hit his spots. I don't think there'll be any letdown here. I think he senses his moment, and he's got his foot on the throat of his opponent. If anything, it's Machac is unraveling faster mentally.
$15-30.
Couple of strange returns there, massive off the forehand, and then kind of put himself in no man's land with his return position there with the kicker that was going to come from Machac. It was always going to be at an uncomfortable height from where he started. It wasn't inside the baseline taking it on the rise. It was always going to be awkward.
That's kind of what I was trying to lead you into, is having just had the trainer out to give him a massage. Is he concerned physically and not willing to invest physically in this game? He took the first couple of gifts, but he's been trying to play quick points since. I think this will tell us a lot here. If he tries to grind a normal point, or does he go for broke on the return again? Doesn't even matter when you get a double fault, but we're not getting a lot of information. We're just getting more questions. That's a good sign for Casper. Going back deep for the return indicates he's willing to grind a little bit. Nope. Didn't. I'm reading the play like Ray Charles right now. I'll be reading the greens like Ray Floyd.
In this one, it's still a break though for Casper Ruud and Team Norway. They're ahead 3-2, trying to level this tie.
Trainer's coming back out for Casper. Got a little fortunate at the end of that one, didn't he, guys? But it was a beautiful little bit of form from him on the half volley, staying down, living with the ball. And that was a nice reprieve from a situation where things were looking a little bit desperate. 3-1 down, love 30.
Also is, what if he wins? Is he going to have enough to play in the mixed?
Captain and dad, Christian Ruud. They have a fascinating demeanour, don't they, these two? They're both calm, they don't give away too much. They're very even with their temperament, their emotions, and surely that's a helpful thing in stressful times. Wouldn't call these stressful times, but they're very important. They've got the break, and Casper not as consistent as you might have expected him to be so, but here he is serving 3-2 in the third.
15 love.
It's a challenging time for sure for Casper Ruud and Team Norway. They have to have this match to extend the tie to get the mixed doubles live, and Casper is slated to play there, and he's 2 hours and 28 minutes into battle now and has been treated by the physio in the last 2 changes of ends. There's still a lot of work ahead of Casper Ruud if he wants to help Team Norway lodge a win over Team Czechia.
Right. Lyder hvert slag, kom igjen. Trykker på. Opp, opp.
Well, he needed that. 2 good points, an ace, and then really using the legs well to get round and rip the forehand winner. We haven't seen a lot of that in the last hour or so from Casper Ruud. Forehand not as damaging as we were expecting it to be. That's the shot that has given him so much success. So he's got 4-2. Tomas Machac serving to keep his hopes alive. Helpful on the forehand there, and that's one of the wings where he's been able to do damage. It's interesting, forehand, you talked a lot about it being a lot flatter and a lot more dangerous in terms of being able to hit through the court than what Casper's is. He's that heavy spinning ball.
That's right, Todd. It is flatter, but that also brings the net into play far more. Doesn't have the net clearance and the safety of shot that Casper's does.
Well, that was not a great approach shot. When you talk about that, let's just take a look at this graphic coming up here on the forehand placement, because when he does miss, he misses by a long way. Have a look at those red dots. And some of them are miles from their target.
But he's had an immense amount of winners. 13 winners on the forehand wing, more than Ruud today, who's at 11. But it's a risky proposition for him. So there's a big variance with his forehand, which you don't often see with Casper's. Casper's had love 30 in some service games, closing in on a second break of serve, the insurance break, and unable to really put the pressure on Machac, just giving him points to get back in these games.
They were fatigue shot choices, weren't they?
Yeah.
2 hours, 34 minutes on court.
He's been impressive at the net as Tomas Machac. Gold medalist in mixed doubles at the Paris Olympics with Siniakova.
I just love the way, watch him when he comes in, see where his balance is. His eyes are directly behind the flight of the ball coming at him. It makes it so much easier for him to just control his racket head, placement of shot. And he manages to hang in this battle. He's still down the break, but Casper Ruud is at 4-3 for Team Norway.
Team Norway is 4 games to 3.
The trainer been out twice now for Casper, so he's done the limit that you were talking about, Jim. So now Christian's in there as captain. He's able to do that. That's allowed.
Everyone's getting worked on by their captains. Machac working on the right arm and the elbow of his player, Tomas Machac.
See, that's an interesting one for me, because when we've gone into the depths of technique, the way his service motion is, I'm not surprised that he may get an issue with the elbow. United Cup day session here in Sydney, and this is a tight one between Norway and Team Czechia. And these two are just discussing treatment, I think, there.
Play time.
Not bouncing out of that player's bench there, Casper Ruud at this point.
No, he's in energy conservation mode at the moment in terms of just doing what he needs to do within the lines in terms of the points being played. It's going to be interesting when we talked about, obviously, Casper needing to jump in for the doubles, but obviously from Chechia's point of view as well, they've got a decision to make with the elbow issue that suddenly looks like Machac get. Is Patrick Rickle going to get an opportunity to run out here? If Casper puts
15 now.
this match to bed eventually.
Some interesting decisions ahead if Casper is indeed able to serve this one out. Needs 2 more holds to do that. Not surprisingly, with fatigue setting in and both players' legs, their first serves are not finding their targets, is often both missing a lot more in this set. Shows how important the legs are for serves.
And 13-15. The service.
Just pulling the trigger so quickly off the backhand. He's actually trying to flatten it out, as you've talked about, but it's just not the natural one, is it?
It's not tactical, it's desperation here. Just not physically to play the types of points he wants to play, seemingly, and having to try and finish him very quickly. He should be looking to finish more with his forehand if possible, though. Many times over the years, Todd and Petch, have you heard me say, don't beat yourself with your worst shot.
40-13.
That's what has been happening in some of these points when Ruud's been trying to hit the backhand a little too quickly down the line. Look how good his forehand is when he gives himself time and opportunity.
Well, he was a little more physical in trying to get round to get to that forehand. He's been unable to do that. Game point. There wasn't a lot of room to pull that back down into the forehand, was there? This would be the forehand you would expect that he would go off on. Again, puts himself under the pump.
Advantage. Team Norway.
Well, it wasn't a bad volley. It didn't have a lot of stick on it, so it didn't get through the court quickly, which allowed Casper time to choose the passing shot here, and he left a lot of that line open. That's his favorite one. He can go either way, but if he has time, he likes to take it down the line.
Very assured drive volley on the backhand side, not a shot you see players hit that often.
Especially when it was in doubt as to whether it was going to actually stay in the court. I think it would have landed in, but it was right on the edge. And so is this match at this point. What a game this is.
Yes, indeed. Standing ovation from his team bench. Takes advantage of this here, and that was nice and a good hustle, but reads it well. He's got to be looking at that wide serve on the forehand court, hasn't he? He keeps getting burnt by the same slider out wide from Casper.
Norway.
7 minutes to hold serve for Casper Ruud, and a change of racket, and one game away from leveling the tie.
Team Norway is 5 games to 3.
Even for a moment here, Jem, this forehand approach shot was somewhat predictable. It gave Machac a real opportunity, but doesn't control the forehand. We mentioned that he does get a little loose with it occasionally, and that was what happened there. So 5-3. So does he give it the Agassi here and just quickly look to try to serve it out, Jem?
That's what it looks like. We'll see if he exerts any effort on this return game. Might be an easy hold for Machac. He's going to do what Agassi did against Guillermo Perez-Roldan in Davis Cup in Argentina when he was leading, I think, 5-0 or 4-0 in the 5th set, and it was a second serve from Perez-Roldan, and Agassi just caught it and walked to the bench, gave him the game.
And 14
The crowd damn near rioted.
I was going to say that would ignite.
Oh yeah, they nearly rioted. What Andre was and is confident in his abilities, and was able to close the match out and escape Argentina in one piece. Can you imagine you're serving at 40 love, you're down, you're playing at home for your country, and someone just catches your second serve and says, too good, I'm going to beat you right now. Let's see if Casper Ruud can hold out. It won't be quite that dramatic.
But he's going to have to try to serve it out. 5-4, third set. So these opening 2 points are going to be interesting. Pitch, when you look at what has just unraveled there in that game, where he more or less said, okay, I'm going to put all my energy into this upcoming serve.
Yeah, I mean, I love these parts of the matches where it's like chess pieces, isn't it? I mean, actually early in the games on his own serve, he's actually gone tee on the deuce side, but you're absolutely right, he's burnt Machac a lot out wide, but that's partly because he's kind of thrown the heater down the low part of the net in the opening couple of points of the game. So I'm fascinated to see how Ruud starts this vital 10th game.
A little bit more treatment by Captain Christian on the legs of Casper here, and just trying to get every little bit of energy and loosen everything up.
At time.
First point going to really determine how he can play this service game as he tries to serve it out. Remembering he served for the first set at 5-3, did not play a great service game on that occasion. Ended up winning the set with a tiebreak. For Team Czechia, it all comes down to this. It must break. And is serving with new balls. That will help. An aggressive opening point pays dividends. 15 love.
Got to say that was a very smart serve at this stage, isn't it? The three-quarter kicker, knowing that that return is 99% of the time going to come back cross-court middle. Gets his forehand into play straight away.
Net for service.
Not done yet.
13. 15.
Sometimes you have to risk it for the biscuit. And that's what Casper did with that second serve. Big pace up the middle. Surprised Machac and brings him to double match point.
There's a testing encounter, but Ruud comes through for Norway.
7-6, 5-7, 6-4.
Three matches they've played against each other. 3 wins for Casper Ruud, but this one was the toughest. And it will send the mixed doubles into a live deciding match. Who will the captains decide to have on court? That's a big question to be answered in the next 15, 20 minutes as well.